Hey everybody. Sorry, that was weird. I was about to start, and then the batteries in my mic were dead. So, fresh batteries, new class. Yeah. Hi everybody. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Good to see you. Hi. Yeah, I see some people there. Lots of familiar names and faces in the chat. Some new people. Four Sweet Bunny. Hi. Don't think we've met before. We got Miguel, Alejandra, Rafael, Selma, Diego. Lots of people. Cayo's in there. I see that. Cool. Anybody who's new, my name is Shaun. I'm going to be your teacher for the next hour or so, and every Wednesday from here on in for the rest of my life. I guess I'll be your teacher. Rosalinda, hi. CF Teaching. Carla, Pascoa, Rosa. Lots of shout outs here. Okay, so it's Wednesday afternoon here in Vancouver, BC. And as always, I'm coming to you from the studio at the Canadian College of English Language. And yeah, it's good to see you. I look forward to this class all week. And here we are. So, yeah, lots of people. Cool. Okay. If you're new, or if for some reason you've forgotten, remember that if you have questions during the chat, put them in, or during the class, put them in the chat. Put your questions in there, put your comments in there, and we will try to answer your questions as best we can, okay? You've got Karim in there as a moderator, Zach is in there as well, and they will help you, and they will try to get your questions to me so that I can help you, okay? So let's get rolling here. Let me have a little drink here. Delicious. All right, let's go. I'm gonna go into the class here, and I'm gonna pop in. Where am I? There I am. Okay. So today's class, we're gonna start with the magic word for the beginning is customize, okay? I'm going to put a question up for you guys to answer for me, and then I'll tell you why. Okay, so yeah, let's roll. Exactly. The question is, what are some things that people often get customized or custom made? Now, last week in class, we were talking about making verbs and making nouns. We're not talking about word building this week. We'll come back to that in a future class, but we did see this word customize last week, which is a verb. Obviously means to make something special or specific for you, to change it or make it in a way that you specifically wanted. So what are some really common things that people get custom made or that people have customized? Clothing, CF Teacher says, of course, yeah, so that's the one that comes to mind for me. Maybe the most common is, yeah, people get suits made for them by a tailor or professional. Cars, Kayo said, yeah, you can customize your car. You can have somebody pimp it up for sure. Okay, so I said clothing, suits, these little cufflinks here, the shirts. I mean, the little pocket thingies. You can have all of this stuff made for you. Houses, computers, yeah, lots of good stuff coming in. Luciano's here, cool. Bicycles, especially here in Vancouver. I don't know about you guys, if you've got much of a bike culture, but here in Vancouver, lots of people riding their bikes and lots of people getting their bikes customized and fixed up for the road. Computers, definitely. I also think of not just athletes. It could be any athlete, but athletes often get their equipment customized. You get custom made tennis rackets or shoes or any kind of equipment that these athletes get someone else to make it specifically for their hand or for their foot. Minecraft world, yeah, maybe, yeah, okay. Luciano, you're like 2 minutes late for class. Don't worry about it. There have been much later students than you, so don't sweat it. Of course, the one thing that came to mind when I was thinking about having things custom made, having things made, specialty cakes. Now, I put this one up here because, again, this will all make sense in a moment, guys. I'm not just ranting like a crazy person, but this is a cake for a child's birthday party that I went to. I took this picture of this amazing Star Wars cake at a child's birthday a few months ago. Selma loves cakes. Miguel loves Star Wars. Well, of course, right? Star Wars and cake together. What could be better? Now, of course, the mother and father of the children whose birthday it was did not just whip this cake up in the morning on the day of the party. Obviously, they had this cake professionally made by somebody who's very skilled. I mean, it's very amazing. Yeah, it is really nice. It was really nice. I'd say maybe it looked better than it tasted, but that's fine, I guess. Definitely the grown-ups, the adults, were more impressed with the cake than the kids. The kids just wanted the chocolate, but the fathers were amazed by this cake. Okay, so why am I talking about the cake and all of this stuff? Because today we're talking about a very specific structure in English called the causative. Causative verbs or causative structure. All right. Edible was the question. Yes, that cake was the cake was edible just before we move on. This part here at the top, this was the cake. The legs, you couldn't eat the legs, but this part, they cut into it and it's just cake under there. Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, I know I'm always talking about food. I'm always torturing you guys, but causative verbs, causative structure is what we're talking about. Now, the causative structure is very common in English. We use it a lot. And it's basically when one person or thing causes or makes another person or thing do something. Okay, so one person makes another person do something. One person or one thing makes another thing happen. This is the causative. Okay, Pasco is hungry now. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry for that. Maybe you can have someone make you a sandwich or something while you're watching this class. Okay, so the causative. The reason we're talking about all of these things before is my question to you was, what are things that people have made? And that question is using the causative voice or the causative structure. Okay, so this is today's lesson. I think is very useful, and I might talk a little bit more about cake later on. Sorry, but we're not completely done with that cake yet. We're going to come back to it. Miguel would have eaten the legs too. Yeah, I wanted to too. Okay, so when we're talking about causative verbs, it's there are quite a few, but there are four main ones that most people think of as causative verbs, and that's have, make, let, and get. Okay, there are other ones like force and allow. These are causative verbs. All right. Mark talked about pizza today. Yeah, pizza and cake. It's a good combo. Mark and Shaun. All right, so causative verbs. These are verbs that we can use to explain this whole causative structure of one person getting another person to do something. Okay, causative. We'll talk more about this in a minute. The thing to remember about the causative structure, like any sentence in English, it can be in the active and the passive voice. Okay, so today we're going to, I'll show you a couple examples, and then we will break down the active voice first and look at how that's constructed, right? And what, Karim's not hungry? No? All right. And then we'll look at the passive voice. Okay, so the active voice causative structure is something like this. I had a mechanic fix my car, right? So the mechanic fixed the car. I probably just paid the mechanic to fix my car. Okay, this is what we call the causative. This is what we're doing today. And the passive version of this is I had my car fixed. I had my car fixed. Okay, so let's kind of break this down first, focusing on the active on the different ways to use the active voice with these causative structures. And then I'm going to get you guys to do some practice, okay? Because as I said, it's a very common structure. Sometimes some ways of using it are quite easy, I think, for students, but a couple of these causative verbs give students some trouble, okay? So I want to make your life a little bit easier. Torture you with pictures of delicious food, but help you with your English. That's what I do. Okay. So the active structure, you ready? Here it is. Subject followed by the causative verb, and then the agent, the verb, and the object. That's it. Piece of cake. All right, we'll see you here next week. Thanks for watching. Yeah, no, it's simple, but obviously let me walk you through this kind of formula. Okay, this is the structure for the active sentence. Now, usually starts with the subject. Now, of course, most of you know that the subject of the sentence just means who or what the subject or the sentence is about. I was distracted by Selma's couscous dinner there. So subject is, what is the sentence about? So I'm going to make a sentence. I'll say he. He will be the subject of my sentence, okay? So the next in the formula is the causative verb. So we'll say had, okay? I think as far as causative verbs go, have is the one that kind of causes the most trouble for students. All right, hey Marianne, nice to see you. So we're going to say had is your causative verb here. Now it's important to remember that this is going to be past tense, but you can write the causative structure in any tense you like, okay? So you could say he has, he is having, he will have, he is going to have. Future, present, perfect, all of these tenses work, and you're going to see the tense in the causative verb, not in this verb later on in the sentence, okay? So my sentence is going to be past simple, he had, okay? Now after that, you've got the agent. Now the agent is just a word for kind of the doer of a verb, right? The person or thing who does a verb is an agent. Now, usually, in most active sentences at least, in the English language, the subject and the agent are the same person or thing, okay? So, okay, let me show you an example. Your regular sentence, your regular active structure is, he made a Star Wars cake. Okay, that's my sentence. He made a Star Wars cake. So in this sentence, he is the subject of the sentence because the sentence is about him, but he is also the agent of the verb made. Okay, so he is both the subject and the agent of that main verb. So he made a Star Wars cake. Of course, his cake looked like this. Okay, this was the cake. This was the Star Wars cake that he made, right? If you want this cake, again, you have to get someone else to make it for you, I think. If you want to make this cake at home, that's fine. You can be the subject and the agent, and you can make this cake. But if you want this one, the subject and the agent have to be different. So in this sentence, he had the store. In this case, the store is the agent of this verb. The main action verb is make, right? So he had the store make, the object, a Star Wars cake. Okay? And now this is the active causative structure, right? Now Miguel, asking the question about the subject and agent, maybe I answered that while you were typing the question, I'm not sure. If you're still not sure, ask me again and I'll go over it again. But the agent just means the person or thing who does the verb. Okay, so in this sentence, you've got the subject is he, the causative verb is had, the agent is store, and the verb is make. So the store is the agent for make, meaning the store does that verb. And then the object, the Star Wars cake. All right? And then you can add some extra detail at the end. For his son's birthday. Put a period on it, and you got a nice, clear sentence, okay? He had the store make a Star Wars cake for his son's birthday, and that's your typical active structure. Okay, now, the one thing that kind of confuses students sometimes is this verb, this second verb, make, because of the, basically the form of it, okay? Now, before, I pointed out that have, or had in this case, is the causative verb, and that takes the tense of the sentence. So if it's past tense, future tense, whatever it is, you're going to see that tense here. But that second verb, make, is always going to be base form. Okay, so let me, oh, Lane's here too. Yeah, look at that. Good to see you. Long time no see. So let me show you what I mean here. In this formula that we're talking about today, the causative verbs have, make, and let. If those are your causative, one of those is your causative verb in the sentence, then the verb later is going to be base form, meaning no tense, just the most base form, like make, be, go, and so on, okay? If the causative verb is get, the verb is going to be a little bit different. You're going to use the infinitive. So you're going to say to, okay? Well, there's a lot of information. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this was our sentence. He had the store make a Star Wars cake for his son's birthday. So in this case, as we said, the causative verb is had. So the action verb later on is the base form. But if we say he had, we say he got, then make becomes to make. Okay, so he had the store make a cake. He got the store to make a cake. That's the difference. I see some questions coming up here. Maybe. We got Shaun to repeat the sentence. Maybe if somebody can send me I'm not sure what that question was. Okay, but yeah, if there's more questions, get them in the chat. So again, just to be clear, let me show you a couple other examples of using these sentences in the causative structure. Okay, so this is a very common one. My brother let me borrow his car. Okay, I think students generally don't have a problem with let. I see Rosa said, she made me wash the dishes. Is the sentence structure wrong? No, that is, she made me wash the dishes, Rosa. That's a perfect example of the causative structure. And that's much like, I think, this sentence of mine. The teacher made the students practice causative structure, right? So again, in this case, made is your causative verb. Over here, practice is kind of your action verb in the base form. Over here, the same. Let is your causative verb. Borrow is your action verb. Okay? Alejandro has a question. Do we do this independently, the tense that we use, the causative verb? Now, I'm not exactly sure if I'm getting the question right, but I think if you're talking about tense, the tense of the sentence has to be in the causative verb, right? So the teacher is making the students practice right now, or in this case, in this class, the teacher is going to make the students practice causative structure. All right, so it can be any tense, this causative verb. And we'll look at more examples too. I wanted to keep it kind of simple at first, but we'll look at some more examples. So doctors had the man placed in a psychiatric hospital. Well, that's not very nice, but well, maybe it's necessary, I guess. I don't know. Again, a good example of causative structure. And one more. I'll get him to call you back. Okay? So you'll notice the main difference between the first three and this last one. If you use get, then the action verb is with to. Okay? It's the infinitive, not the base form. Okay? So, oh, before we go into the passive, how about this? let me pop out here, and I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to put this in the chat. Okay, so I just put a link in there. Okay. You guys can hop on that link and open up this doc, or you can just look on the screen. I'll open up my copy here too. Okay. Now what we're doing here, we're going to practice some causative structure in the active voice. Okay. Let me make it big so everybody can see. I want you guys to do some practice with this. Okay. So let me go full screen. I've given you 5 sentences here. Okay, and I'd like you to try to rewrite them with this structure that we're talking about. Try to rewrite them in the causative, with a causative verb, with the causative structure. So we'll look at the first one together, and then I'll get you guys to do 4 of them. Okay, so the first one is, when I bought the TV, I asked the salesperson to explain the return policy to me. So this part, we'll keep that the same. Okay, oops. So when I bought the TV, I would say I had, because it's past tense, the salesperson explain the return policy to me. Okay, now let me go up here a bit. There we go. That's not working, that's fine. We'll leave it like that. So when I bought the TV, I had the salesperson explain the return policy to me. Okay, so in this case, again, this is the causative. He is explaining it to me, but because I am arranging it, I am causing the salesperson, he or she, to explain this to me. So that is your causative verb, and that is your base form action verb. Okay, so take a couple minutes, all right, and do the other 4. I'm going to pop out here. I'm going to put the music on. Put your answers in the chat here, and then we'll put them on and we'll talk about it together. And then we'll get into the passive voice. Okay? So I'm going to pop out. Get to work. All right, good stuff. Lots of answers coming in on the chat. Lots of good stuff coming in. So let's talk about it together. And then we'll talk a little bit about passive voice. Okay, so for this, and I saw a couple people are getting ahead of yourselves with the passive voice, which is fine. In common use, we use the passive voice. For this exercise, I was looking for the active voice because this is what we've looked at so far. But some people not big fans of my music. That's a shame. That's okay. All right, so B, my teacher will explain this confusing grammar to me. Let me see some answers here. Luciana's got it. Yeah, okay, good. So she said, I'll get my teacher to explain this confusing grammar to me. Good, Luciana got it. Alejandro, Caio, yeah, a whole bunch of people got that one. That's good. So again, if you're using get as your causative verb, then you have to put the action verb in the infinitive with the to, right? Okay, now, interesting kind of difference there. If you look above it, again, we used had, and then explain is in the base form, not the infinitive. That's the big difference. And I think we tricked you on a couple of these with have. I think have is the one that kind of trips people up a bit. Okay, so C. You should ask your mother to send you some food from your country. Yeah, that's a good idea, right? Okay, I got some answers coming in from Raphael and from Selma. Good, Caio. Now, a bunch of you kind of tripped up on this one little thing. Now, you're real close. You said you should ask, or whoops, you should have your mother. Now, some of you said to send, but remember, if you use have, you should have your mother send you some food from your country. Okay, you should have your mother send you some food from your country. Now, again, just like we were saying with tenses, the modal verbs you can use with these causative verbs as well. Okay, you could have, you could get your mother to send you food, right? So remember, if you're using have, then no to over here. All right, good stuff. Yeah, people are making, that's okay. People are making mistakes with have, that's fine. Mistakes are beautiful, yeah? If you guys didn't make mistakes, then I guess I wouldn't have a job, would I? Yeah, right? So keep on making those mistakes. Keep me working. All right, so D, when guests check into the hotel, a staff member takes their bags up to their room. And again, a lot of people got it or got real close to it. Caio, you're pretty good, except you went, you changed the tense for some reason. You said had their bags, but here this is a present simple, general truth, right? Like kind of every time a guest checks into the hotel. But that's pretty good. What else do we have here? Who else? Yeah, good. Luciana, again, you've almost got it there, but yeah, you missed the infinitive, but that's fine. So actually, I'm gonna get lazy. I'm gonna copy this, at least. There we go. Whoops. So when guests check into the hotel, I would say they have a staff member take their bags up to their room. Okay? So when guests check into the hotel, they have a staff member take their bags up to their room. That's perfect. All right. And you guys don't want me to lose my job? Good. Yeah. Keep making mistakes, even if you're just doing it to keep me employed. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. So last one. The doctor is going to examine my sore leg tomorrow. I see Diego put an answer in here saying, I'm going to have the doctor examine my sore leg tomorrow, and that is perfect. So I'm going to have, whoops. Or, I mean, you could say I'm having the doctor, or I'm going to have the doctor examine my sore leg tomorrow. And that's great. I'm going to have the doctor examine my sore leg tomorrow. Perfect. Christina, the doctor is going to have my sore leg. Okay. Now with Christina saying the doctor is going to have my leg examined, maybe, Christina, but that seems like the doctor is getting someone else to examine your leg, which maybe the doctor might say the doctor will have someone x-ray your leg, right? Because usually the doctor doesn't do the x-ray. So you could do something like that. So Alejandro's saying, I understand the rules, but it's difficult to identify the subject. Now, and just remember that, I mean, when it comes to subjects are usually pretty easy because really with a subject, it's what or who is the sentence about. So Alejandro, I mean, in this first sentence, the doctor is the subject. The doctor is going to examine my leg. That's the subject. In the new one with the causative, I am the subject because the sentence is about me. I am going to have the doctor examine my leg. Okay. Now in this case, the doctor, he's still important because he's doing this verb here. So he's not really the subject of the sentence, but he's the agent of the verb, and that's the difference. Okay. Good questions coming in. Now, I noticed that some people were putting some passive sentences in there, and that's fine. I mean, I don't know, I forget if it was Luciana or if it was CF Teaching. I was getting fancy with the passive voice and saying something like, I'm going to have my leg examined tomorrow. I'm going to have my leg examined tomorrow. Now this is, it was you, CF Teaching, okay. This is perfect. Now this is the causative structure as well. The only difference is now that this is the passive voice, not the active voice. Okay, so I think this is a good kind of segue or transition into talking about the passive voice, and then we'll do some more practice. Okay, so let me go back into this, and we'll go over some rules here. Good, and again, if you guys have more questions about that, anything I said, let me know, and we'll go back into it. And I'll start here. Where are we? Passive, okay. So the passive voice might even be a little bit easier because there's really only one structure. There's no difference in causative verbs. Okay, now I will say for the passive structure, I think have and get are more common than let and make in those other causative verbs. So most of what we're doing today is looking at have and get, okay? So here it is, subject, causative verb, object, and verb in the third form, your past participle, which some of you call PP, right? Okay, so this is the passive structure for causative. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So, subject is he, again, okay? The sentence is about him, so he is the subject. Your causative verb is had, again, as you'll see, you can probably imagine the sentence that I'm writing here, right? So again, had in the past tense, but could be any tense, right? Could be with modal verbs or anything like that. Will have, should have. Then your object, like a Star Wars cake, right? So he had a Star Wars cake is the object, followed by your verb, which is made. That's it. That is the passive voice. And Miguel is saying I had my hair cut. And that's a great example of a very common passive sentence. Now, actually, I should have my hair cut. I need to get my hair cut. Or active voice, I need to get someone to cut my hair. If you know anybody that's good in the Vancouver area, let me know. All right, so this is passive. Note that the verb down here is now the past participle. It's not infinitive anymore. It's not base form because it's the passive, right? So when we use passive voice, we always use that third form of verb, like taken, or just your regular ed past tense verbs, okay? Eaten, bought, that kind of stuff, okay? So he had a Star Wars cake made, and I think for his son's birthday, of course. I added that at the end, and there's your passive sentence. Now, the difference between active and passive also is the causative verb doesn't matter in relation to the action verb. So he had, the verb is made. If I change that to he got, made is the same. You don't use to. Okay? She had her house cleaned. Coming in from Pescoa. She had her house cleaned. Yeah, exactly. That's great. Good. So this is the passive structure, and it's really as easy as that. Let me show you a couple examples. CF Teaching is asking, are both formal? I wouldn't say they're necessarily formal. They're not always formal, no. I think these structures are quite common in conversational English. CF Teaching, that's a good question. All right. I would say you could use them in both. I got my hair cut that's not formal, I wouldn't say. I had my car fixed by the mechanic. That's another great passive causative sentence. Now let me show you a couple of mine. I'll have the report sent to you today. Now that sounds a little formal, right? I will have the report sent to you. That sounds like something that you would say to your boss or in an email or something to someone, right? It's kind of formal. All right? Or she got the door fixed. Okay? She got the door fixed, meaning she asked someone else to do it. She didn't actually fix the door herself. Diego saying, in passive structure, will the verb always be in PP? Yes, absolutely. Another question, in what situations do we use either active or passive with causative? Good question. Now, I would say, like every other sentence, the passive voice is used more often when either we don't know who the agent is, the agent of that verb, or we don't really care. Now, I mean, if you look at my second sentence, she got the door fixed. Now, you don't have to talk about the person who fixed the door because they're probably just a professional repairman, right? So you wouldn't need to say, she got a professional door repairman to fix the door. The active voice in that case sounds a little strange. It might be more common to use passive because you're really focusing on the door and the act of being fixed and not the person who's actually fixing the door, if that makes sense to you. Alejandra, same. I had my house painted, for example. Who painted it? It doesn't matter. The point is I arranged for the house to have paint on it, right? So that's, I would say, is when you'd use the passive over the active voice. Okay? Good question. Great question. Okay, so how about some practice? Oh yeah, one more thing. Now, this is important. Oftentimes, as you can see here, a lot of these sentences that we're seeing today are looking at one person asking or getting another person or thing to do something, right? Like, she got the door fixed, or I'll get him to call you, okay? But sometimes we use the causative structure to talk about unpleasant things, okay? Uh-oh, look at this guy. Okay, you can't get the link to open the example. Don't worry about it, Abdullah. If you can't open the link, I'm not sure why. I'll put the link back in there in a minute, but you can always just use the screen. You can just look at the screen if you need to. So this terrible guy, you could say this about my car. So we had our car broken into last night. Now, Alejandra, maybe to answer your question or to go deeper into your question, is that we often use the passive structure of the causative sentence to talk about bad things, to talk about things that are unfortunate, right? Oh, I had my car towed, or oh, I had my my window broken, something like this, okay? So actually, I don't want to tell you too many because I'm going to get you guys to practice with it, okay? He had his car stolen is another example. Good. From Jose. Good example. Or sometimes threats or warnings, right? This is my one. This is what I have to say for you guys. Pokemon Go, all right? Playing Pokemon Go in the street, yes, in the highway, you can say this. You are going to get yourself killed, right? You are going to get yourself killed. There's your causative structure, passive voice, yeah, about Pokemon Go. So this is another use of the causative, okay? All right, so be careful playing Pokemon Go, I guess, yeah? All right. So how about let's do a little bit more practice here, guys, okay? Let's go back into the document. Yeah, you guys are fans of Pokemon, yeah? I don't know, there might be a Pokemon in the studio, I'm not sure. All right, so go back to that document, and again, I'll put the link back here. It's the same, if you already have the link, you don't have to go back into it. It's the same document. Diego saying Pokemon Go isn't available in Brazil yet. Well, that's good. It'll keep you out of the streets, I guess. Yeah, it'll keep you safe for now. All right, so go down to the second part here, guys. Okay, I'm going to show you mine. I'll put mine on here. I have taken a few pictures. Pokemon Go is awesome. Yeah, okay. I've put some photos down here, and next to the photo, I've put a question. All right, the questions are different depending on the photo, but I want you to try to answer the question based on what you see in the photo using the causative structure. So Kaio's ahead of it right now, the good stuff. So the first one, I'm asking what happened, and Kaio is saying she had almost, Kaio, you're almost there. So she had what? She had, and Christina's getting in there, right? So she had her mobile phone stolen. Yeah, if you said stolen, if you said taken from her bag. Not a super smart move to leave your bag that far away from you on a bench, I guess. So Kaio's got it. Yeah, good. So she had her mobile phone stolen from her bag. You got to be careful. Now again, this is a good example of, I'm talking about bad things. Obviously, she did not ask someone to steal her phone from her bag, right? Except maybe if it's some kind of insurance. Maybe she's got lots of insurance money on this phone, and she's asking someone to steal it. All right. So, no, yeah, don't be sorry about mistakes. Remember, Kaio, what I said about that. Mistakes are great. So, this is what I'd like you guys to do. Continue with the rest of them. Look at the picture and try to answer the question, right? What is the woman doing? What is the woman doing? Not the dentist, but the woman, okay? So I'm going to put that music that scares some of you. Some of you find it joyous and happy, others find it terrifying, but I'm going to put it on there anyway. I want you guys to put some answers in the chat. And remember that there are a few more down here, and some of them, I think the last 2 or 3 are pretty tricky, okay? I'm trying to challenge you guys, all right? So get the answers in there. I'm going to pop out. All right. Good stuff. So many good answers. Some very creative answers coming in here too. This is good. Let me scroll up here and we'll go over this together. All right, so B was, what is the woman doing? Which I guess is kind of maybe a bit of a strange question because it doesn't seem like she's doing anything, but for the causative structure, what is she doing? Lots of good answers coming in. Said the woman is having her teeth checked. Okay, so I'll put that one in there. The woman, or I'll just keep a she. She is having her teeth, some people said checked, yeah. If you said cleaned, that's okay too. Having her teeth checked or cleaned. I see Hannah 26377 says she's getting her teeth pulled. Maybe later, like right now he's got kind of the thing, he's scraping a bit and he's got the mirror in there. Yeah, she might have her teeth pulled later. This terrible action here. Could be. I said somebody said she's having her mouth opened, which I guess is true too. I think in this case she's having her teeth checked, she's having her teeth cleaned, and maybe eventually pulled or fixed, maybe. If you said she's having her teeth fixed, that's okay too. Good. All right, what about C? What should the store do about the window? And Selma says the store should get the window fixed. Yes, the store should get its window fixed. Yeah, good stuff. Luciana saying replaced as well, right? That's a good one. I'll put that one up there. The store should get the window replaced or fixed. And some of you said, somebody put an ASAP in there too. As soon as possible, the store should get the window replaced. So in this case, again, you're using the passive voice, right? You got get is your causative verb, and replaced is your past participle. Because again, it doesn't really matter who is going to fix the window or replace the window. A professional window replacement company, right? Good. All right. She's getting herself tortured. Yeah, maybe. I guess that's why we go to the dentist, to get ourselves tortured by the dentist. Now, D, a lot of you guys answered it, but you try to kind of get around the question. Now, my question is, what did this guy do to his hair? And I see Muradi answered it correctly and said he had his hair cut. All right, he had his hair cut. Yes, absolutely true, but a little sneaky way of answering this question, I think, because we could say a little bit more about what this guy did to his hair. And even Kaio saying he had his hair styled. Okay, let's get more specific. How did he have it styled? What did this guy do to his hair? I would say something like he had his hair cut like a cap, something like that. Or he had his hair styled to look like a hat for some reason. Maybe that'll be my look next week. Maybe I'll try to get that look going. It's a good one. Okay, what about E? He said, what? Somebody's saying, what hair? Yeah. Maybe you guys didn't even notice that was hair and not a hat. Maybe. Yeah, it's like, this is like one of Mark's hats. That's funny. What did the government do with Vladimir Lenin's body, is the question. Now I'm getting a little trickier here. Okay. All right. Let me see. You guys are crazy. Let me get some answers going on here. So Kaio said Vladimir Lenin's body the government had his body preserved by the government. Okay, yeah, you've got a little bit of crazy word order going on there, a little bit, Kaio, but that was pretty good. Somebody said embalmed there. Luciana said it, yeah. Someone went with frozen. I don't think they got them frozen, but I would say they had his body. If you said embalmed, like Luciana did, that's a good one. That's a fancy one. I would say preserved, right? They had his body preserved. Now again, passive voice here. I see another question coming in. I'm a little confused about when to use get or have. Yeah. I would say, I mean, usually, I think have is a little bit more common in the passive voice. But I'll try to get back to that question, Diego, in a minute, or if somebody in the chat can get to that, just because we're kind of running low on time. Okay. What about F, the last one here? Okay. When there is a wildfire, what do police do with the residents? Now again, this was a kind of a tricky one. Maybe I was looking for one specific word, and I don't know if I got it. Police, the residents are taken from their house. Yeah, you could say that. Taken. Lots of people said taken. Ah, Miguel got it. Police, okay, so this is what Miguel said. This is a good one. So he said the police should have the residents evacuated, right? The police should have the residents evacuated. Or you could even say this, keep it active voice if you want, and say the police should have residents evacuate the area. The police should have residents evacuate the area. Or, in this case, and who was it that asked the question about it? But in this case, get and have are the same. In the active voice, it's really the same. The police should get residents to evacuate the area. Okay? Again, really good examples of causative structure. Mark got his bike stolen. That's sad. All right, hopefully we can end on a happier note than that. Okay, so this is the causative structure. Now, before we go, I should mention this, because you guys are always apologizing to me for making mistakes. And just to show you why you should not be apologizing is because I realized earlier, and a couple people I think caught me on it, and because I saw it in the chat when you guys were working. Here, I made a mistake when we were talking about active voice, because this particular example here, when I was talking about the active, this is not active voice. This is passive, right? The doctors had the man placed in a psychiatric hospital. So even super duper smart, amazing, intelligent, charming people like me occasionally make little mistakes, not big ones, little ones. I make a mistake, I don't know, maybe once every 6 months, maybe. Okay, yeah, Miguel noticed the word place. Good eye, good for you. You've got a keen eye, probably from all that chasing Pokemon. Maybe is good for you. Okay, so this is not active voice. So before we go, let's make an active voice. The doctors had the man. What would a doctor have you do? Now let me get rid of that and say the doctor. Let's get more specific. Say the doctor had the man or got the man to do what? What do we do? What do we do in an office? Got the man to run. How about this? To lie on a table. I guess you could say lie on a table. Run on a treadmill for 20 minutes. I don't know what I'm talking about. But there, the doctor had the man, whoops, see? Another mistake. The doctor had the man run on a treadmill for 20 minutes. Okay? And that's it. Yeah, see, I fixed it before you could call me on it, yeah? I found my mistake before you guys did. You have to be faster than that. So the doctor had the man run, or the doctor got the man to run on a treadmill for 20 minutes. Check his heart or something. I don't know. Okay? So, yeah, Luciano, I got my iPhone lost. Doesn't really work because, yeah, that's a tricky one. How about this? I'll stick around in the chat for a few minutes because I don't want to keep you guys here too long. I know it's late for some of you guys. It's bedtime. So let me pop out of here. All right? Because again, it's time. I know time flies so quickly when you're talking about causative structures. Yeah. But that's class for another week. I will stick around in the chat if you guys have questions about causative structures. Yeah, I know, mistake of the week. Well, maybe that was my other mistake of the week, is that I ran out of time. Mistake of the week. Oh, actually, you know what? No. Really, what I should say is that this here, this was actually the mistake of the week, but I didn't tell you that it was the mistake of the week, right? I did it on purpose so that you would catch it to test you, and it was not my mistake. Okay, so that's the mistake of the week. All right, so class dismissed for another week. I will stick around. I'll stick around in the chat and answer your questions if you have some questions, guys. And then we'll be back here regular time next week, right? 3 o'clock Vancouver time. So in the meantime, of course, yeah, keep telling your friends and your family, your buddies, tweet it, Facebook, like us, Learn English on Facebook. We're there. If you're not part of the group, join the group. Keep watching Mark's class on Wednesday mornings, and come back next week, and I'll be here. Maybe in the meantime, I'll have someone cut my hair. Maybe I'll get Mark to cut my hair for next week's class, like a hat. All right. So keep practicing your English, and of course, try to use these causative structures in your daily use of the English language, because I know you're using it every day, of course, so that you improve. People are going to sleep. Some people are going to go and find pizza and cake. Time for me to go home and go find those Pokemon, but play safe, and we'll see you next time. All right. See you guys.